Burnout E3 is brought to you by the Jeep brand, the 4x4s that play as hard as you do.
Hey, I'm Bill Sindelar, and you're watching Blister, the straw that stirs the action drink. And today's concoction is a delightful blend of action titles that have a real kick to them. We'll check out the galactic warfare of Master of Orion III, do some air and water rescue with SeaBlade, and test the armor of Nightcaster II. Plus, we'll get reloaded with Tribes 2, and we'll look at Seek and Destroy and HSX Hypersonic Xtreme for the budget crowd. But first, may I interest you in a game that smells sweet but has the aftertaste of tire tread? It's Burnout 2, which is making its way to the Xbox and GameCube. The Burnout philosophy can be summed up in one word: speed. Inspired, or is it imitated by legendary films like The Fast and the Furious? Burnout 2 challenges you to put the pedal to the metal and stuff the notion of defensive driving in the trunk.
Good afternoon, Blister race fans. Daryl Sindelar Waltrip here. You better check your oil and clean the windshields, cause we're about to go on a bumpy ride. And that ride is Burnout 2 Point of Impact, available for your PlayStation 2, but more importantly, newly available and enhanced for the Xbox and GameCube. I hope you got a Thomas guide, cause with the original Burnout 2, you get 6 locations, including Los Angeles, the Rocky Mountains, and if you're in the mood for a long, strange trip, the Bay Area. 21 cars are at your disposal, 7 of them super secret vehicles that you can unlock. Now that's pretty sweet and all, but when I'm living my life a quarter mile at a time, I like to drive a pickup. That's how Sindelar plays the game, that's how Sindelar wins the game. But what if Sindelar wants to play Burnout 2 on the Xbox? Well, ask and ye shall receive. I got an exclusive pre-alpha version of Burnout 2 to show you Xbox owners. Don't say I never did anything for you.
On Burnout 2, for Xbox, we wanted to have some exclusive content, so we thought, let's make the Xbox different. Apart from the graphics, where we can make more polygons on all of the cars and make it look a lot more detailed on screen, as well as having the 5.1 Dolby Digital sound, as well as doing HD TV support, things like this. What we wanted to do was add some exclusive content. One of the big hits of Burnout 2 was a mode called Crash Mode, where it's basically roll down the hill and perform a big wreck. So we made this turn-based party mode called Crash.
In Crash Mode, the object is to drive down the road, crash into the oncoming traffic, and wreak havoc. The more monetary damage you cause, the more you win. Burt Reynolds would have loved this game. They called him the Bandit, you know.
We added, in the second half of Burnout 2, there's a selection of vehicles called Custom Series, and this is our sort of Fast and the Furious type cars. So on Xbox, we decided to add some extra decal sets. So this way we figured if you saw the game in a magazine or on TV, if you saw some new car, the only way to get that car is to see in the Xbox version. There's 15 junctions to unlock on PlayStation 2. We figured let's double the size, so we've added 30 crash junctions. So the Xbox version now has 5.1 sound, it has crash junction, it has more detail, it has all this sort of stuff.
Let's not forget the pursuit races, where you play the Smokey and try to ram cars off the road. Nice.
The more dangerously you drive, the faster you should go. So that's how Burnout was born. And if you drive on the wrong side of the road, if you slide the car, or if you nearly hit other cars, you can build up a boost, you can get a turbo, you can drive even quicker. If you use all the turbo in one go, that's a Burnout. Fantastic.
Fantastic, but what's even more fantastic is the Xbox Live features in the game.
And we're adding, live high score tables. So you won't be able to race online, but you'll be able to upload your biggest crashes, your best lap, your best drift, your biggest air. And something certainly in the crash mode that's very well suited to it. It's sort of the bragging rights with your friends.
And you know who has the most friends? Ha! The Sindelar.
Because this is one of the few racing games out there where you can drive from the mountains down to, say, the beach, or you can drive from the city into the desert and drive a long point-to-point stage. We want to make a racing game that everyone can enjoy. Everyone drives a car, everyone understands driving, but many of the titles are just far too complex.
Which is why I love living in a world where Burnout 2 can be played on the Xbox. Anybody can play this game. So there you have it. So get your motor running, head out on the highway and look for adventure and pick up Burnout 2 Point of Impact on the Xbox.
If you've already played the PS2 version of Burnout 2, consider this. The Xbox and GameCube versions feature 15 more crash junctions, enhancing our Blister motto of flying heavy metal is fun. Anyway, now that your palate is sufficiently stimulated, let's move on to something a little more worldly. Master of Orion III offers an intergalactic flavor that is sure to satisfy your thirst for interplanetary warfare. This third installment of the Master of Orion series continues the turn-based tradition of the first two games while offering updated visuals to this fine beverage. So sit back, relax, and enjoy a taste of Master of Orion.
Orion III is the highly anticipated space colonization game available now for your PC, and it's all downhill from there. Master of Orion puts you in the role of an intergalactic commander out to control the universe. And what does an intergalactic despot do? He colonizes planets, creates weapons, and trains his armies. And how does he do it? Drop-down menus. But the non-stop action doesn't stop there. Excitement runs rampant as you develop skills and earn degrees in the rewarding field of economics, mathematics, and physics. Are you ready for this intensity? I don't think so. And if that's not sizzling enough, you can enter the exciting world of bureaucracy by engaging in virtual diplomacy with the locals. Whoa, hit the deck. It's an intergalactic filibuster. Get down. If you can bear any more heart-pounding excitement, then engage in some fast-paced extraterrestrial space battle. Oh no, they've unleashed the secret weapon. It's the dot matrix death kill. No! Maintain your composure as the warfare gets hot. Watch out for the planets. They may look innocent enough, but they are dangerous intergalactic forces. It's intergalactic planetary. Planetary, intergalactic. It's very beastie.
If you always wanted to play a sci-fi movie instead of watching one, it looks like Master of Orion III is just what you need. Okay, I need to go and check on our next batch of fine action beverages, but stick around because when we get back, we'll sample a fantastic blend of air and water with SeaBlade. And if your action beverage budget is limited, we'll give you a taste of Seek and Destroy and HSX Hypersonic Xtreme. That's coming up only on Blister.
Join us for Achieving the Glow, a 5-part series showing you the way to enlightenment. This week, athletes find the zone.
My defense is very suspect.
It's all part of G-Phoria, presented by EB Games and G, tonight at 10 p.m.
Goodbye.
Welcome back to Blister. I'm Bill Sindelart. The depleted ozone, global warming, and pop music. These are all environmental hazards that the world faces today. And by the 24th century, only 300 short years from now, the polar ice caps will melt and split the world into 2 distinct hemispheres. With advances in technology, man has designed a vehicle capable of traveling both high above the clouds and far below the deepest depths of the ocean. There's a global war between the northern and southern hemispheres, and you are right in the middle of it. Think Waterworld meets Blade Runner, and you'll get the idea. I hope you like the taste of salt water because we're about to splash down on SeaBlade.
Freedom from above and below with SeaBlade Squadron. Southern Alliance in shadow of war. Volunteer now for victory. Join the SeaBlade Squadron.
As a lifetime video game addict, I've always dreamed of a game where the action can take place in the air and on the water. And now, like manna from heaven, dropping into my lap comes SeaBlade. The story of SeaBlade is well documented. Billy Bob Thornton plays a mentally challenged handyman who befriends a young boy. Oh wait, I'm sorry, that's Slinkblade. This is SeaBlade. Why don't we hear from somebody that's a bit more informed?
SeaBlade is a game where we set out to make like sort of an old school shooter type game, but with new 3D technology. We've got a very versatile ship that the player plays, and it can go above the ground, it can go underwater, it just goes all over the place. The storyline takes place in the not too distant future, and basically there's been like a cataclysm that's flooded the world's oceans. So a lot of the major cities are kind of underwater and stuff, and it's divided the Earth into two sections. There's the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere.
Well, we've got several different warlords that have taken over the northern hemisphere, and then your job as a SeaBlade Squadron is to take out these bad guys and their super powerful weapons.
The northern hemisphere is run by sort of tyrants, warlords who are sort of crazy, and they have like a very chaotic anarchy system of government up there. The southern hemisphere is like where everything is kind of like, you know, nice, everything's going cool, but the northern hemisphere is starting to encroach on the southern hemisphere. So we have to be proactive, go up to the northern hemisphere and take out these warlords before they can inflict a lot of damage.
And the only way to stop the evil warlords is...
Dun, 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 the SeaBlade.
You have these special ships called SeaBlades that are able to fly above the water and down underneath the water. So you've got all the action combat type situations that you'd have in any aircraft game as well as any submarine type game. The ships change shape in a way that where the wings would change and move based on the direction it's flying. So it gives that kind of a characterization to the ships so that when you're underwater, it has a different configuration than it is when it's in the air.
There's 4 main ships, and then you can unlock all sorts of other different ships too. We've got some exclusive ships. All the enemy ships that you fight, you're able to unlock those. Just any number of ships.
It's not all flying and swimming though, friends. If it was, it wouldn't be SeaBlade now, would it?
We have different missions in the game. Basically, you have like sort of stealth type missions. We have to go in and do a lot of reconnaissance. And we also have missions we have to go in and pick up hostages and bring them back to your main ship. If you play the game straightforward, you can go through the missions and blow a lot of stuff up and explore. But if you really explore and get into the nuts and bolts of the game, there's all sorts of like hidden power-ups placed around, all sorts of things like that.
Weapons, weapons, weapons. What about the weapons?
We have like a good variety of weapons, from like basic like blasters to like missiles to heat-seeking missiles.
All the weapons on the ships you're able to upgrade the different weapons. So maybe you start off with 1 Gatling gun, you're able to power that up to 2 and then 3.
You've got 36 different missions spread out over 6 different environments, and yet there's a little bonus surprise at the end, if you survive.
If you play the game all the way through, you'll find there's a definite cliffhanger where it looks like as if the SeaBlade type gameplay will take off into space. But that's for you to all play and find out yourself.
SeaBlade is for your Xbox and Xbox only. Now, tell me the words that I want to hear.
Join the SeaBlade Squadron.
Join the SeaBlade Squadron, indeed.
SeaBlade has quite an interesting pedigree. It was developed by the company that crafted Creed's Bullets video and published by the same crew that subjected the world to Panty Raider. But if I'd have told you that before we showed you SeaBlade, well, who knows what you would have done. Now, if you were one of the unfortunate few who actually paid money for Panty Raider, well, bummer, dude. But if your budget is still recovering from that, then we have got a couple of titles that will satisfy your gaming fix. Now, I can think of a lot of worse ways to spend $10, but I'll let you be the judge. I now present you with Seek and Destroy and HSX Hypersonic Xtreme.
In these crazy economic times, it's nice to know that we can still buy some games and stay up till the wee hours of the morning driving fast and blowing stuff up. For the budget-minded gamers out there are 2 games that can satisfy these necessities of life. HSX Hypersonic Xtreme and Seek and Destroy, both at the jaw-droppingly low price of $9.99. HSX borrows heavily from 2 games that set the standard for anti-gravity racing, Wipeout and F-Zero. The jet-propelled vehicles eat up the twisting and turning tracks and collect shield power-ups along the way. Unlike Wipeout, though, HSX doesn't outfit the vehicles with weapons. That means you gotta drive to win. The The standard cup races and time races are thrown in, and the graphics and sound are what you'd expect from a low-budget title. The environment looks good when you're going fast, but if you slow down, then the lack of depth rears its head. But the real hook of the game is the track editor. Sure, most futuristic racing games have this feature, but HSX slickly and easily lets you create some impossibly twisty and torquey tracks. Pick a location and lay down a piece of track. Repeat. In no time at all, you'll have a highway to hell and back. Combine the Army Men series with the BattleBots, and you get the cheeky action of Seek and Destroy, our next title in the Budge It series. Seek and Destroy is a lighthearted military combat game starring what else? Super deformed tanks. A lot of them. In fact, there's almost too many, and they range from smaller, faster tanks to larger, more heavily armored steel beasts. A story mode is stuffed into the action, featuring modes that range from all-out destroying everything games to stealth missions to boss battles. There are also a ton of mini-games for your mechanized marauders that offer up obstacle courses, mazes, and even skydiving. Skydiving? What? The big hook of Seek and Destroy is the level of customization. Cool upgrades and weapons can be found at various spots on all the maps, which adds to the challenge. And when I say upgrades, I'm talking about everything from tank treads and engines to floats for seafaring battles and wings to give your tank a lift. The weapons available are just as varied, like lasers and bombs, in addition to your standard shells. Of course, you've thought about outfitting a tank with rockets, but what about rocket-powered drills, huh? How about that giant chainsaw that attaches to the turret, huh? Does that do anything for you? I thought so. With plenty of multiplayer modes and options available, Seek and Destroy is a great grab-it-and-go game, priced just right at $9.99. Speed, explosions, and a low budget. For all those times you don't feel like immersing yourself in anything heavy, HSX Hypersonic Xtreme and Seek and Destroy fit the bill nicely.
Okay, so every game can't be as good as Halo or Vice City, but sometimes you just need to get your game on. These two titles will help keep your skills sharp until your budget recovers. Now I've got a little motion sickness, all right, so we need to take a break. But when I come back, we'll descend on the dungeon adventures of Nightcaster II, and we'll get reloaded with a classic online first-person shooter. That's coming up only on Blister. Welcome back to Blister. I'm Bill Sindelar. Much like the fabled Good Thing, you can't have too much third-person dungeon crawlers, but Nightcaster II isn't exactly a dungeon crawler. I think it's more accurate to call it a dungeon sprinter with certain dungeon crawling elements thrown in for good measure. The action is fast and furious, and if you aren't quick on the draw with your sword, you can end up with a lap full of orc. So grab your armor and light a torch. We're about to enter the world of Nightcaster II. If you ever wanted to die a whiny, pathetic death set to techno background music over and over and over, then you must enter the Sindelar Zone. What? Actually, you must enter the rave realm of Nightcaster II Equinox. Let me see that again. In slow motion. Groovy, baby. The original Nightcaster was published by Microsoft and was one of the only RPGs available when the Xbox first hit the shelves. This time around, the sequel has been handed over to Jellico, and now the Nightcaster world is a rave for all to enjoy. And die. Look, even the goblins riding on top of the chickens are getting into the spirit of things. Equinox is like a warehouse party with more features than a multiplex. Dual analog controls allow you to groove your way into one direction while aiming your trippy glow stick in the other to take out any of the over 35 unique and unwanted enemies. And take heed, if you're a tree hugger, then you're gonna hate it when good trees go bad. While you're dancing around this raver's paradise, you can choose from over 30 spells from 4 schools of magic: fire and water and light and dark. Trippy. The use of spellcasting is easy. Use opposing elemental spells on an enemy to diminish their love light quickly. Otherwise, you'll be forced to use your melee attacks, hard or soft if you know what I mean. However, this being a party crowd, you will gain style rewards if you combine your spell and melee attacks in a creative way. Before you go out and shake your groove thing, you'll have to decide if you want to be a boy or a girl. Orion, the hero from the first Nightcaster rave, is back along with his hottie wife, Madeline.
He's handy with the spells and she's dynamite with the melee, sort of. Melee attacks tend to get you dead before you know it anyways, so beware of the killer porcupines. This Nightcaster II realm is lush and 3D and full of dynamic lighting, specular highlighting, and bump mapping madness. But this is a rave and you can't forget your techno. Inside and Out, Equinox is filled wall to wall with music that has nothing to do with the fantasy setting, but it does change dynamically with the action. As more wacky trees, insane chickens, killer pincushions, and headless turkeys attack you, the music gets louder and groovier, baby. Nightcaster II Equinox. Shake your ass like you've never shaken that ass before.
You just gotta love a game that gives you style points for impressive feats of skill. Now, if that was the case in real life, I'd be a modern-day Fonzie. Exactamundo. Anyway, it's time to jump into the Wayback Machine once again for another dose of Blister Reloaded. But we're taking a short trip, so don't get too comfortable. Back in 2001, Sierra gave us the follow-up to the seminal first-person shooter, Star Siege Tribes. Everything about Tribes 2 was an improvement over the original. In fact, the only thing that stayed the same was the online-only gameplay that helped set Star Siege apart from the 63,714 shooters on the market. So get in, hold on, and shut up, because we are getting reloaded.
Our flag is secure.
Phoenix, Starwolf, Diamond Sword, Blood Eagle, Cindelar. They're all tribes of warriors enmeshed in the never-ending struggle for unification, domination, annihilation, and decalcification. Released for the PC back in 2000, Tribes 2 was the controversial sequel to the cult hit Star Siege Tribes. The game, which was shipped unfinished, made for a lot of unhappy gamers before patches were finally made available. For those who were able to run the game properly, however, Tribes 2 offered an evolutionary step in the right direction for the multiplayer first-person shooter. Gamers could jump online and join matches with other tribes of up to 64 players in Deathmatch, Siege, Rabbit, and the ever-popular Capture the Flag. Like the original game, each player in Tribes 2 had their own personal jetpack, so tribe members could zip around the enormous blade fields to either capture the enemy flag or defend it. The amount of options and roles available to players was staggering. You could set up defenses to guard your flag, disrupt enemy equipment such as generators and turrets, capture the opposing team's flag, and a plethora of other additional duties. Loadouts such as grenade packs and deployable equipment, and of course, a diversity of land and air vehicles added to the strategy and epic nature of Tribes 2. Although the game might have a steep learning curve for new bloods, the rewards of playing with a strong team are priceless. Join a tribe, grab a spin fuser, and cap a few flags.
If you're wondering whatever happened to the Tribes series, well, you'll soon find out when Tribes 3 comes out next year. Now I want to know what other games you're looking forward to in the coming year. So log on to our message boards at G4TV.com/Blister and let me know. That's all the time we've got for this edition of Blister. I'm Bill Sindelar. We'll see you next time. Get on out of here. Bye, everybody. Come on. I said go. Get out of my house. Don't make me. If I have to jump over this. And if your action budget, well then, go tell your mom and dad they need to get you some games, or maybe you should get a job, and then maybe move out of that house and get a girlfriend or something. That's coming up only on Blister. Was that smile forced? Get these two titles and... What? I need glasses. I can't see.
The Cindelar Zone.